New park, new rules. Universal Orlando is rapidly evolving inside Florida, and we're here to help you keep up as well as keep ahead of all the latest changes. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. I don't think I have to tell you that there's a lot going on in the Universal Orlando scene right now, but if you clicked on today's video simply out of curiosity's sake, here's the tea. Universal Orlando just opened a brand new park called Epic Universe, and this brand new park has introduced a whole lot of brand new rules along with it. But even beyond the new Epic Universe rules, Universal Orlando is shaking things up in other ways too that might be more under the radar for everyone. So today I'm laying out all these fresh rules that are happening right now throughout all of Universal Orlando, so you're going to be in the know no matter where you go. Just a general note before we get started here today, as a new park, Epic Universe will need to implement some stricter rules for a while that might not always be a permanent part of how they operate. So some of the rules that I'll talk about today will need to be followed up on at a later date just to see if they're going to stick around, and we'll be sure to give you that update if or when things change. Again, they got to work out some kinks, they got to figure out what's going to work for them going forward, and that's what always happens with new parks. So it's wild that Universal has a brand new park, and yet the new rule I want to start off with today is taking place over in Islands of Adventure. To be fair, it's a rule change everyone's been asking for. Before, if you wanted to ride Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, you could either get in the forever long standby line for it or try to ride the attraction as a single rider, if that was an available option on the day of your visit. But there was no express pass option for it. All the other Islands of Adventure rides, yes. Great, but no express pass for poor Hagrid until now. Now, along with your express pass purchase, you will receive skip the ride line privileges for every Islands of Adventure ride aside from Pteranodon Flyers. And it's about time. Now, for the record, yes, mobile order is an option for many of Epic Universe's quick service locations, but it's not always going to be the most reliable option at the moment. Take my last visit to Pizza Moon in Celestial Park, for example. This place is a real popular one. What can I say? People love that Victorian theater theming and ube crust. But when it gets to be too popular here and the building reaches capacity, team members out front will have to turn guests away for the time being and let them know that they can try to check back for availability later on. And if you thought about resorting to Plan B, mobile ordering and taking your pizza elsewhere in the park, just keep in mind that if the building's at capacity, then mobile order more than likely isn't going to be up and running. Basically, if the main dining area is swamped, the kitchen's swamped, and if it's too swamped, then mobile order might not return for the rest of the day. So let's say you return to Pizza Moon later on and capacity does free up enough for you to eat in the main dining room. After you order your food at the counter, you'll have to wait for your food to be brought to your table, much like Minions Cafe in Universal Studios Florida. So make sure you're not standing idly around at the counter right after you place your order in anticipation of your pizza. The team's going to need to free up as much space as possible around there to avoid crowd congestion. For your best chance at dining with lighter quick service crowds, try hitting up these locations at non-peak dining times, like for a late lunch or early dinner. You might also luck out by hitting up these places right when they open for the day. That's what I always like to do. And if the place you're wanting to eat at never really takes a chill pill and is constantly packed all day long, well, the good news is there are still several other places for you to eat around Epic Universe too. And if you pick up our new Ultimate Guide to Epic Universe, we'll have all your dining options listed out for you, as well as all your options for rides and shows and shops and extra entertainment, and some nifty tips and tricks thrown into the mix too. Because if I were going to a new park soon, that's what I'd be on the lookout for. Just scan the QR code you see on the screen now, or head to disneyfoodblog.com/epic after this. Remember that Epic Universe disclaimer I gave you at the start of the video? Yeah, just keep that in your back pocket while I talk about this point. Epic Universe doesn't currently play by a lot of the same rules as Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure. Currently, you cannot purchase a park-to-park ticket for Epic Universe. So once you're in Epic, you can't hop on over to Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios later in the day. You still, however, can get a park-to-park ticket for the other two Universal parks. In fact, that's the only way you'll be able to hop aboard the Hogwarts Express, which will carry you between parks' wizarding lands. Epic Universe is also not included in a Universal Orlando annual pass right now. You're still going to need to pay extra as a pass holder if you want to visit this brand new park. However, pass holders will still receive special pass holder pricing for one-day Epic Universe tickets, and they'll receive several discounts for the park's restaurants and gift shops and extra experiences, plus free parking for the day too. And while one of the biggest benefits of staying at a Universal Orlando Signature Hotel, aka their higher-end hotels, is getting your hands on those free unlimited express passes that you can use to skip over the main queues for almost every ride line across Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, you still won't receive free express passes for Epic Universe as a Signature Hotel guest. You're always going to have to pay extra for those, no matter what, at least for now. Now, since Helios Grand is Universal's newest signature hotel over on the Epic Universe side of things, it also plays by its own rules too. When you book a stay here, this is the only signature hotel that doesn't offer you a free express pass for the other Universal Orlando parks. However, you will get a different theme park perk that none of the other Universal hotels have, and that's a dedicated entrance leading you directly into Epic Universe. No extra travel time required. It's very cool. So here's a hotel benefit that Epic Universe will still give you, similar to its older sibling Universal parks. On select days at certain parks, all guests who are staying at one of the Universal area hotels will receive early park admission, giving these guests the chance to enter certain areas of a specific park up to an hour before the park opens for the general public. And that goes for Epic Universe now too. Now, over in Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, this hotel perk is going to get you into their Wizarding World sections an hour early, so you can get a head start on those popular rides. And often Islands of Adventure will also throw Velocicoaster into the early admission mix too. But when it comes to Epic Universe, their Wizarding World section stays dark during early admission right now. Instead, Super Nintendo World opens early, including all of their rides as long as they're working. Plus, Epic will also throw in early access to Stardust Racers during that extra hour of time too. And they've just added Monsters Unchained and Curse of the Werewolf in Dark Universe as well. From our experience, Super Nintendo World gets packed during early admission. This can still be a good time to get in line for the Nintendo rides before the rest of the crowds come rolling in, but it's also not a bad idea to use that extra time to hover near one of the not yet open portals and be one of the first in line to enter those lands as well. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, caused quite the stir with Epic Universe guests lately, in the best and worst way possible. I mean, this place is cool, y'all. Wizarding Paris is cool, and for many folks, the best ride, hands down, in this entire park is Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. But because so many people feel this way, the lines for this ride get massive. So here's the thing. Universal did create a virtual line for Battle at the Ministry during the previews. However, we haven't seen this virtual line go live since Epic Universe's opened. Nowadays, they'll just open up the main queue for Battle at the Ministry and all chaos will break loose. So, for the record, I can't necessarily help you hack this situation. If you really want to prioritize Battle at the Ministry and prioritize not battling the virtual line, or the potential 300+ minute wait, your best bet is booking one of the Epic Universe VIP tours, which start at $380 per person on top of your regular day ticket. Battle at the Ministry isn't even available as an express pass option, but then again, neither is Minecart Madness in Super Nintendo World or Hiccup Swing Gliders in Isle of Berk. Just something to keep in mind before looking into that purchase. But what I can give you are some tips that might help your Battle at the Ministry cause. For starters, at the beginning of your Epic Universe day, check and see if a virtual line is actually going to go live during your visit or not. You'll be able to tell immediately on the Universal app by checking on the main Battle at the Ministry page. The little square up top and to the right of the screen will either have a wait time listed or a virtual line icon. If a standby queue is on offer, this is where most folks are going to flock right at the start of the day, and you might want to be a part of that crowd too. But again, a 300+ minute wait isn't an exaggeration here. There's a good chance you'll be waiting a long time before you're able to hop in line for this one. Fortunately, it's not a boring wait. If you're wrapping around Wizarding Paris, there's tons to look at, and once you make it inside the main building, things get even more awesome. But I'm not here to gaslight. waiting 300 plus minutes for any ride, even the best ride in the park, is going to be a major test of anyone's patience, especially if you've paid a chunk of money to experience as much as possible inside Epic Universe. I'd highly suggest also looking to see if a single rider line option is open on the day of your visit, just in case that queue option is shorter. You might also want to save this ride till the end of your day and get all the other stuff you wanted to see completed first, because honestly, you might find that all the other rides around the park right at the start of the day have wait times that'll be a whole lot more reasonable. That way, by the time you're ready to get in line and wait things out, you'll at least have seen a lot more of Epic Universe beforehand. All right, let's step out of the Epic Universe scene real quick, because it isn't the only park that's implementing major new rules. Volcano Bay's Tapu Tapu system, which are those wristbands given to water park guests at the start of the day, granting you the ability to scan in for virtual queues for all of the park's rides, will be discontinued on October 1st of this year. Once they're gone, future water park guests will be able to access any of the rides by standing in a normal physical queue whenever they want to. But that's not the only major update happening at Volcano Bay. Additionally, Universal's also confirmed that Volcano Bay will begin a seasonal closure for maintenance and overall TLC of the park beginning on October 26th, 2026. Volcano Bay won't reopen until or just before March 24th, 2027. We don't have to worry about dealing with this extended closure for a while, but it's still important to know about now so it doesn't sneak up and ruin your water park plans later. Starting on May 15th, 2025, Universal Orlando has made big changes to the designated smoking areas around its parks. Previously, there were locations inside each of the parks where guests could take a smoke break, but going forward, there'll only be smoking areas located outside of the park entrances, except for Volcano Bay, which is keeping its in-park smoking area intact for now. So, where are these new break areas? Epic Universe's smoking area is near the restrooms at the park entrance. Universal Studios area is near the studio archway, and Islands of Adventures is opposite of the lighthouse. You can also find Universal City Walk's smoking area to the left of the Red Coconut Club, not too far away from the Starbucks. And since we got new smoking rules, I guess we got to look at Epic Universe's new drinking rules too. If you end up loving the Dark Universe portal so much that you want to become a part of it, you 100% can, thanks to the Darkmoor Monster Makeup experience. Think of this like the dark version of Magic Kingdom's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, but instead of this being an experience limited to just kids, anyone 5 years and older can get monster makeovers too, including the adults. You can transform into Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, a werewolf, or even a celestial mystic if you're wanting to go a little less spooky. But here's the catch for all you adult monsters out there. If you get a Darkmoor makeover, you cannot purchase alcoholic beverages while you're wearing it. Why? Because monsters and alcohol don't mix. Just kidding. It's more so the fact that team members won't be able to clearly ID you. That's how intense your makeover session will be. So if you want to drink your way around Epic Universe, you'll need to do that before the monster makeover happens. Or what you could do instead is fashion off one of our new monster-inspired tees available on dfbstore.com. And wearing that, you can still legally drink around the universe. That way, you're still representing your favorite creepy creatures of the night, but you can also still try out different boozes. Win-win. Many of Epic Universe's rides and experiences take place outdoors, and that's fine until the weather threatens to shut them all down. Unfortunately, even if your Epic Universe day ends up being a total washout, as soon as you use your park ticket, that's it. No rain checks, no exchanges, no exceptions. You'll just have to roll with it. Now, good news, not everything happens outside in Epic Universe. Rides like Battle at the Ministry, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, and Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, will still be open and operational, rain or shine. Plus, the indoor stage shows will continue to run as well. But that still takes out a good chunk of the other rides while the rain comes down. Whoops, wrong park. So you'll want to keep an eye on the forecast leading up to your visit. If you see some rain in the forecast, that's usually nothing to worry about. Florida's pretty notorious for its afternoon showers that might delay outdoor operations, but probably not cut them off for the rest of the day. But if the day you were planning on visiting Epic Universe is looking rather wishy-washy, heavy on the wash part, you might need to do some schedule pivoting. You don't need to specify the date that you plan to visit Epic Universe when purchasing a multi-day ticket for 3 days or longer. Universal notes that you only need to indicate the first date you want your overall ticket to be valid. So once you have a start date, you can visit any of the parks beginning on that date however you see fit. Additionally, you can change the date of your ticket via the self-service tool on the Universal Orlando website. But if the price increases from your original date to your new date, since ticket prices do vary depending on when you go, be prepared to pay that difference. Once upon a time, and not so very long ago, all of the Universal Orlando Resort area could be navigated in one centralized area. Universal City Walks, Universal Studios Florida, and Islands of Adventure are all part of one big secure area. This means once you park your car in the parking garage and go through the security here, you don't have to go through security again as long as you stay within the Universal sphere of influence. But here's the thing, Epic Universe, not near the main Universal hub. Instead, it's in an entirely different area, about 15 to 20 minutes away from the rest of Universal's offerings. Here's a little map just to give you an idea of the distance between the two areas. Because of this distance, Epic Universe has its own designated security area before you enter the park, so you don't have to worry about taking an extra detour back to the main Universal hub for security's sake. Instead, you'll simply make your way directly to Epic Universe and go from there. And because Helios Grand has a dedicated Epic Universe entrance that'll lead you directly into Celestial Park, it also has its own security checkpoint. So if you're staying at this signature resort during your trip, you'll just go through that security checkpoint instead and skip the main one toward the park's front entrance, which should help you get into Epic Universe even faster. That being said, those who are staying at Helios Grand and taking a shuttle over to the other parks during their visit will still need to go through that main hub security checkpoint once they arrive. Speaking of a faster way to get into Epic Universe, Helios Grand Hotel definitely spoils the folks staying there. But if you're not staying at Helios Grand, you still might feel a twinge of temptation to just park at this resort and try to use its dedicated entrance regardless, just to create your own little park hack. But Universal has already thought ahead about this, and they've got some really strict rules in place for those who even attempt this strategy. While Helios Grand guests still have to pay a daily parking fee, if you're trying to park here as a non-hotel guest, expect to pay an even heftier fee. How hefty? $125 worth of hefty. Now, if you're not going to visit Helios Grand for any shady business and you're just wanting to pop in to get a couple of drinks at Bar Helios or a nice meal at Flora Taverna, you should be able to get your parking validated. But there is a minimum spend at both locations in the $50 to $75 range to receive a parking reimbursement. Just be sure to keep hold of the receipt. Now, when I was there, they actually told me one night that they weren't validating any parking. So things are sort of up in the air and changeable here. So I would say be flexible if you're trying to do this. Now, on top of that, if they are validating parking, the validation can only be applied if you've parked at the resort for fewer than 4 hours and not in valet. Beyond that, you'll be out of luck and forced to pay the entire cost. Now, there are much cheaper ways to visit Helios Grand and avoid the parking do-si-do altogether. For starters, you can park in the Universal Orlando's main garage and take a shuttle over, so you'll only have to pay for garage parking, which is about $32 per car. Or during your Epic Universe day, just hop into the resort whenever you feel like it to do some extra exploring. Universal Orlando has been all about the facial recognition technology lately, so here's how it works. Epic Universe, as well as the rest of the Universal parks, use a photo validation system at their park entrance, which eliminates the need to repeatedly scan physical tickets or annual or seasonal passes to enter the resort's parks. You can either enroll in the system online before your trip, or you can do it right as you scan into your first park of the trip. Epic Universe also uses this technology to help you get into their complimentary ride lockers, which I'll talk about more in just a second. If you're not comfortable with this new system for whatever reason, no worries, you don't have to use the facial recognition system if you don't want to. Just let the team member at the front gate know you'd prefer to opt out and just scan your park ticket instead. And the same can be done over at Epic Universe's lockers too. You don't want to use facial recognition? Just keep your park ticket out and handy at all times, because that will become your key. Now, speaking of those lockers, over at Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, the complimentary locker systems have been a vital part of how these parks operate. Before you go on any of the bigger or more intense rides, you'll need to store all your stuff in a free locker first. Some rides will still allow you to keep your phone tucked away in your pocket, but for the mega coasters like Rip Ride Rocket in Universal Studios Florida and Velocicoaster and the Incredible Hulk Coaster in Islands of Adventure, you'll be required to walk through a metal detector before you board. And anything triggered by the detector is going to force you to backtrack through the line so you can stow whatever loose articles you still have on you in your locker. them's the rules. Now, for these two Universal parks, I tend to recommend packing smaller bags if possible, since larger backpacks or super bulky Loungeflies may not fit in that tiny rectangle of space, which means either someone in your group's going to have to stay off the ride and be the keeper of the stuff, or you're going to have to pay a few dollars extra to access the bigger lockers. But over at Epic Universe, the new complimentary ride lockers are way more spacious. Just look at the side-by-side comparison of these things. Here are what the lockers look like for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure in Islands of Adventure. And here's what they look like for Monsters Unchained in Epic Universe. Universal has heard our cries and answered our call, and we truly appreciate that. Now, the rides with complimentary lockers available at Epic Universe include Hiccup Swing Gliders, Monsters Unchained, Stardust Racers, which will also have you walk through a metal detector before you board. On Fire Drill at Isle of Berk, you'll be able to stow your stuff inside 2 covered chests on board each boat, and the Dragon Racers Rally will have covered cubbies that you can use, but not a full-on locker ordeal. For all the other rides, you'll just place your bags between your feet after you board, and off you go. Okay, we've got so much more Universal content coming your way, and of course more Disney content too, so stay tuned and be sure to check out our other Epic Universe videos that are already out. One of my favorites is the Ultimate Guide to Epic Universe. And don't forget to download our free Ultimate Epic Universe Guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/epic. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.